This is the STEAM podcast, Strength Through Expressive Arts Mentoring. No matter where you are in your journey as a musical artist, you're always looking to move forward, but you might not know what's next for you. STEAM is about what's next. We're going to give you ideas, conversations, solutions. You have the confidence. This is about strategy. Welcome to the STEAM podcast. STEAM is Strength Through Expressive Arts Mentoring. My name is Thomasina Winslow, and I created the strength-based program STEAM for youth who are at risk or incarcerated to imbue a certain level of confidence and life skills utilizing the study of music. The STEAM project is strength-based, but focusing on your strengths as musicians who want to move into the music industry and get yourselves started as musicians of note. This is episode 2, and it is about the copyright maze. It is full of information and tips to give you a head start on understanding the copyright process while avoiding the pitfalls that I am happy to be able to warn you about. If you are joining us for the first time, you will hear our conversational style that is full of information and some fun. Our hope is that you will feel part of the conversation and join us. If you are coming back after episode 1, welcome back and thank you. Now let's get to the very important business of copyright. And we are 5, 4, 3, 2. All right, we are back.
This is good.
Yes.
Let's talk about copyright.
Yes, copyright. You should definitely do copyright as soon as you write something. As soon as you can, you need to go through the process of copywriting.
So can you do it with just the lyrics, or should you wait until you have music to go with the lyrics?
You can do it with the lyrics, whichever form that you want to have copyrighted. Technically, what you write is protected as soon as it leaves your
head
okay. And goes to the paper or gets recorded. And what people don't realize, and I'm not saying don't copyright, you definitely should, but you want to avoid the situation of having to sue someone who's trying to steal something or infringe on your material. If they do, you can sue them after the fact and register your copyright after the fact. A lot of people don't know that. So you haven't missed your opportunity. Oh, they stole my song, and then you have to go on and watch them, profit on it. But you can, if you feel strongly enough, which I think you probably would, you can register your material after the fact and go after it. It's harder to prove, but you can do it. It's not something that you cannot do, but keep a record of when you are recording something or when you are writing something. Send the lyrics along with the melody. If you don't have a melody for it, then send the lyrics. It's still going to be your work.
Send it where?
Send it to the Copyright Office, which is, you can go to copyright.gov. And they will have, on the website, they will have an option to register a work. So you want to register. And when you go to register, they're going to have different options. We're talking about music, so it's performing arts. So you're going to be filling in a Form PA, performing arts, copyright. That includes a theatrical. It can be a song. It could be lyrics for a song. It could be, I think, I don't know. Do you have it up there, Hilary? It could be
performing arts.
Yes.
Yeah, let's see. Works of the performing arts are works that are intended to be performed for an audience. This category includes a wide variety of creative works, including music, lyrics, sound recordings, scripts, screenplays, choreography, motion pictures, video games, and similar types of work. So, works commonly registered under the performing arts category can include beats. It can include mix tapes, music and lyrics. It can include jingles, sampling, soundtracks, songs, sound effects, spoken word recordings, stage plays. It just goes on and on. Even
Yes.
karaoke and instrumentation, comedy routines and stand-up routines, vocals. So there's loads of different types of music, because we know we're not just, well, we hope we're not just speaking to musicians who play the same exact kind of music we play. We hope you're doing, Thomasina works with some amazing young people who are exploring all kinds of different music.
That's right.
I would never play the kind of music that they do, because it's just not something that I have a passion for. But right, so
yes, and they need to understand, and I try to get them to understand that even though in the situation that they are in, they can't really go online. So there are times where I will have to bring the physical application to show them what is required. There's so much, and this is important. This is why I'm doing this episode, because it's so important to understand that even though the word is to give things away and do this for free, and especially with the music, copyright still exists and is very important. So people need to understand that you want to protect your intellectual property.
Yeah.
It's your creation, and it's going to feel, you're going to, like my kids would say, you're going to feel some type of way if someone is running off with what you have created. Especially if it's something that may be innovative.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah. And of course, there's the whole derivative works rabbit hole, which we won't go down this time, but we can talk about that later. I do just want to interject one thing, and that is when you were saying, when you should send your work off. There are people who there is a myth. It's not people. It's a myth going around the arts communities that if you email a work to yourself or mail a work to yourself, that it constitutes copyright. And that's not exactly the case. That what it does do is at least establish a date of when you created the item, but it's better to
go through the
copyright
channels,
because then they'll have that record of you creating the work.
And that's the Copyright Office is in the Library of Congress.
Yes, correct.
So history books, you're in the history books. You know? And the cost is another question that I get. How much does it cost? Right now, the cost is $55.
In September. Well, we're recording this. It's September of 2019.
That's right. That doesn't change a lot, but it has changed from. There were times when I was doing it. It was $40, I think, or $35, and so it's.
Yeah, it's gone up in the last few years. I think the last time I did a copyright thing, because I'm a traditional musician, so I generally play tunes that, were composed before, like they're in the public domain. They're considered to be in the public domain. So I don't really write my own music or any. I mean, I've composed a few tunes, but nothing like some of the more famous people, obviously.
Yeah.
But my point is simply that I was working with a client who had written her own stuff, and she asked me if I would please handle the copyright part of it. And it feels like a maze. You just
yeah, it's there's a couple of different things that you can do, even if you haven't written the song or something like the public domain. You can copyright a sound recording,
right? You
of
can
your
copyright
rendition.
your rendition of it, right?
So don't forget that. We'll probably mention that at some.
I'm sure we'll talk about that.
It's called.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's called the SR, which is sound recording.
Right. So this client of mine was having me register the written lyrics and the written music, and I was doing it as a group. I submitted it as a group recording. And that doesn't mean a group of people wrote it. It means that I submitted more than one thing at the same time. And I'm just wondering if I think things have changed for that since I did it in 2015. Where are we at now with that?
Right now, it's about a group of unpublished works. Not a group of people, like you said.
Right.
But several pieces. Let's say you wanted to get more out of the $55. That's one way to do it. It has changed to a limit of 10. So you can do 10 works, unpublished works. You have to pay very close attention when you go onto the copyright.gov page, the registration page. That the most recent change, and I'm trying to remember this, so I'm trying not to give you too much information that you can't use. The most recent change is in March 15th of 2019, I believe. And that rule, you'll see when you go onto the website, rule making, those are the actual words that they use. That 10 unpublished works, so you can do it for the one price of $55. Just be careful that you make sure it is a group of unpublished works. Because if you do it like you used to be able to do, it's going to bounce back to you as, well, you didn't do it as a group of unpublished works. And I learned that the hard way.
Oh no. So $55 for what?
For one song.
No way.
And what they said, because this was back at the time that the rule was starting to change. This is 2019. It was, not too many months ago.
What was it? Oh, it was like last spring. This spring, in March or April, they were talking about a new rule, right?
And I thought that I had done that. I was paying attention to it, but it wasn't a group of unpublished works. There was something else that it just wasn't the same thing. It doesn't matter what it was, because it did not work the way that I wanted it to work. And they said that, well, we said this all along on different pages and different places on the website, but as a courtesy, we will let you still copyright one of these songs.
Oh, how kind and generous of them.
Yes. And the courtesy was that they would let me choose which one they were going to copyright. If I didn't get back to them by a certain time, then they were going to choose the first one on the list. Mm-hmm. Maddening.
Yeah.
It was maddening.
Yeah.
This is the thing. I got 3 such letters because there were 30 songs that I did the same way. So 30 songs, I got 3. So I don't want this to happen to anyone out there. Pay close attention to what they say about that rule.
Yeah. And, when
do you have it there?
Yeah. Well, when you're on the copyright, copyright.gov, and where was I here? So if you're on the homepage, you go, if you're on a laptop or a desktop, I don't know what it looks like on the phone, but there are two blue buttons. And one of them on the left says log into the Electronic Copyright Office registration system. And so you click on that button. It takes you to a page. I just have to wait for it to load, that says eco information. And they call this the eco registration system. They write all the important things that you need to know. So you cannot really just breeze through. You need to read everything they write because there's a reason for it. So they have a note here that says applicants may no longer use the standard application or pre-existing templates to register multiple unpublished works. And then there's like a link that says read more. You may register up to 10 unpublished works using the new application for a, quote, group of unpublished works. Right now, that doesn't, it'll be different if you're copywriting photographs or when registering a sound recording together with the work embodied in that recording.
That's
so
right.
if you're going to register all the sheet music and lyrics plus the sound recording, that's a whole other thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just talking about if you've written lyrics and music and they are in a sheet music form, and you're going to register those as a group. You can do 10 of them, and you need to use a specific application form, which will be online. So please, all I can say is read.
Yes. Yeah.
Don't just click through and take it for granted.
And you have the option to upload your music as well. If you have a recording of the piece that you did, of the song that you did, you can upload those recordings. That's also proof.
Yeah. Yep.
But these are not, thankfully, they're not really long explanations, maybe 3 paragraphs, and it does take, it is painstaking. That's why people have someone else do it.
Yeah.
There are services that do that. If you are signed to a label or if you work with production company, the production company would take care of that. So that is that part of it.
Yeah. Now, if you're registering on your own, you don't have a label doing it, or you haven't hired somebody to do it, it's not impossible to do. You just need to be diligent. But you also, if you run into a question or a problem, call them. Call
Yes.
the copyright office in DC, and they are pretty well. They've got a contact form, and I used that contact form a number of times because of what I was working on, and they were very helpful.
Yes.
So,
I wouldn't hesitate to call them.
I'm just trying to find the phone number on here because all I see is their contact. Did you find a phone number?
I did not, but I do.
I mean, that doesn't mean it's not on here. Oh, yeah, sorry. It's at the very bottom of their webpage on the copyright.gov homepage. If you scroll all the way down, there are a couple of phone numbers there, and that should get you to their main switchboard.
Yeah, I have there's a toll-free number. I didn't use the toll-free number. I felt like I got in quicker.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, if you want to fork over whatever. Most people are on an unlimited phone plan, though, at this point. So a long-distance call is, now, if you're a Luddite and somehow you're listening to this, in your cave or whatever, on your tablet with your little hammer and stylus thing, you might want to use the toll-free number. There is that option, but yes, good point.
Hey,
nothing against Luddites. I'm I'm all for that.
I mean, but it's just one of those things where you want as much of an advantage as you can get, and if getting to them because you made a toll call is one of those advantages, then use it. It's just something that,
if you can, small price to pay, maybe to it can take them a little bit if you do the email method. It can take a little bit for them to get back to you, but remember, they're dealing with just an enormous volume of a very, very different widely varied types of content.
Yes.
So
now there are little other tidbits that, for instance, if you're trying to do this before, let's say, the Grammys, or a few months before the Grammys, it's going to be really hard to get through, because a lot of what's coming out, the new music, has not been copyrighted. And copyrighted is the right word.
Oh, you mean it's not copywritten?
I know.
Well, that would. I guess that's in publishing, right? Copywriters.
Yes, that is the correct use of that word.
COPYRIGHT. Copyright. You have the right to copyright.
And so, if something in the past tense is copyrighted.
Right.
Right.
Not WRITE.
Left, right.
Right.
You will have a hard time, even if you want to express. There's the option of express copyright. Everybody is paying extra at that time because they have done this with these songs that we're going to hear on the Grammys or whatever have you, and there's a lot of heavy traffic to copyright, and is
that pretty much the only big time?
Yeah, the Grammys. The Grammys are, that's the standard for music awards,
right? So
and that's the Academy. Each year it's sometime in February.
Oh yeah, that's right. Right. We just had, what was it that just happened? We're, like I said before, we're recording in September, and was it the Emmys that just happened, or was that the?
I think that was the was that the Oscars?
Oh no,
the Emmys is for Oscars. TV. Yeah, I don't know which. I pay. Yeah, I pay attention to the Grammys. I pay attention to all of them, but as far as copyright for our purposes here, you want to avoid that prime time if you can to send your applications, because there's going to be a lot of heavy traffic there. And anything that you have as far as questions on this, I wanted to give you some of those trapdoors that you could run into to avoid. But if you have any other questions for us, you can reach us at steam77cast
at gmail.com.
That's right. And we'll answer what we can, because what I'm coming from is the experience of having had it not work when it worked previously. So it was on my mind, and I'm passionate about this. Try to make sure that other people don't run into that same problem. Yeah. So
yeah, it maybe doesn't seem like such a big deal, but when you're when you have a zillion other things to do, you might not have that on your radar. So we hope that makes it a little less stressful for you when you go to sit down and do that.
Yes.
Yeah. This podcast is a part of the STEAM project. STEAM, Strength Through Expressive Arts Mentoring, is a registered trademark and a subdivision of Winslow Productions. STEAM Podcast. Copyright 2019, Winslow Productions. All rights reserved.